Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Amanda from Hookemcreations. I am so glad you all are here. And y'all, it's May. I'm so excited. It's finally May. It means we're almost halfway through the year, but it also means that we get to have some fun because last year there was a trend going on for amigurumis, and I am a huge love making amigurumis. It's one of my favorite things to make in crochet. And in fact, I have been asked for the last 4 years to make all these amigurumis, and you're going to see a flash of a bunch of photos of things I have made over the last 4+ years that are amigurumis. And y'all, I keep growing in making these items, these dolls for people every single year and every single project, and I love it. I love a good challenge, and amigurumis gives me that challenge. Now, the trend that was going on was celebrating amigurumis and just making them in general, and I cannot pronounce the hashtag. It was like Amigurumi May, something like that, and I can't pronounce it, so we're just going to call it Amigurumi Month for me. Hashtag Amigurumi Month. That's what we're going to do for the next 3 weeks. Last week was Star Wars Day, so we of course had to do a Star Wars project because I'm a Star Wars nut. I love making anything Star Wars related, so it had to be done. But amigurumis, for those of you who do not know, are little crocheted or knitted dolls. Usually has stuffing in it. This is one that I just recently made for a friend. She's a knitter, so she was making a baby blanket for a friend who is having a baby, and she reached out to me and asked me, hey, can you make me a little pig for her to give as a gift while I'm also making this blanket? That's a lot to make, is a blanket and an amigurumi all at the same time. That's a lot to do. And of course I said, yes, of course, I'll help out. And she was also, my friend is my roommate from college, so she and I are like sisters. So I made her this little pig, and the last couple days I have spent going live on TikTok, spending time with all y'all. It was so much fun. Y'all, I haven't had that much fun going live in, it's been a while. It's a couple years. So you guys really amped it up for me. So now I am ready to go back into doing live streams again and answering all y'all's questions about amigurumis, about crocheting, about knitting, about the fiber arts, and I just love it. So stay tuned to seeing me doing more lives here in the near future. So that aside, amigurumis, like I've mentioned, is either crocheted or knitted, and they are just dolls. You are making a doll. It can have stuffing. It doesn't have to have stuffing. Sometimes you make little toddler babies or toddler stuffies that don't have stuffing in the bodies but have stuffing in the heads. There are all sorts of different types out there, and the creativity is endless when it comes to amigurumis. It even goes as far as fans making things like Pokemon, fans making Mario and other types of characters out of yarn, and it's just amazing to see these creators, these artists using yarn to make something that people either can love and enjoy, or even little kids can play with them and just snuggle with them. I remember the first time I made an amigurumi, it was actually in my dog Remus, the one that you see in the back, in the background. My first amigurumi, I attempted to make my dog Remus. It was my first time. I did not do it very well, mostly because I decided to use a larger hook size. Little did I know that at the time you were supposed to use a smaller hook size so the stuffing doesn't come out. And surprisingly, I think I still have that amigurumi somewhere in this house. I don't know where it is anymore. So like I have said, to celebrate Amigurumi Month, I'm going to go through a mini series for the next 3 weeks, starting today. The first week is going to be teaching you guys how to start working in the round, because in amigurumis you typically don't stop and chain one. You don't slip stitch and chain one like other projects. Instead, you continue working in a round in a spiral over and over and over, and there is no stopping. So a lot of times you need stitch markers so you know where to start and end a row. So week 1 is learning how to work with a stitch marker, how to do increases, because that's always another animal of itself. Week 2 is very simple, very basic, how to change colors and how to make sure it doesn't come undone. That's always a big tricky one, and also not to make it look like there's knots. Yeah, I've had to teach a few people how to change colors without making knots and still make it secure so it doesn't come undone. And then last but not least, week 3 is learning how to decrease, and we're going to teach you the invisible decrease, not the decrease that you would see if you were working flat. Instead, we're going to do the decrease working in the round, so it's invisible to the eye and nobody can see that you did decreases, as well as how to stuff your project and make it look nice and solid and not so lumpy, because the stuffing is usually smushed into the bags as much as possible, and so it can get very lumpy when you pull it out of the bag. And so I have some tips and tricks on how to make it not so lumpy when you stuff it into your project, as well as some other tools that you can use to stuff your project, your amigurumi. So without further ado, let's get started, and happy Amigurumi month. All right, let's get started. So I am going to be working in worsted weight yarn today. That is typically what most people work with when making amigurumis for a vast majority. However, you can use other types of yarn. Right now, the Sweet Snuggles and any of the polyester fluffy type yarn is very big with amigurumis right now. And so I'm going to use worsted weight yarn because then you can see the stitches a lot easier. This week we are going to talk about increasing. Next week we'll be changing colors. And then the third week will be about decreasing. So right here I have 100% acrylic yarn. This is from Walmart. You can get any yarn for that matter, but this is the one I have that has the label still on it. So if you can take a look here it gives you the recommended hook size for this yarn, which is 5.5 millimeters, or a USI hook. So let me bring it up a little closer for you guys to see. There you go. So right there, 5.5 millimeter hooks. The good rule of thumb, because you're using stuffing for amigurumis, you usually want to go anywhere from 1.5 to 2 sizes smaller than the recommended size for the yarn. Now, because we are using smaller hooks, means you might get your hands a little cramped up because you're trying to push your hook into that hole for crocheting. And for me, I like to have a compression glove. You can get a compression glove all you want. This is what works for me. It's like the copper compression gloves, and I wear it whenever I'm crocheting for long periods of time, especially with tighter stitches. So if you have one, go ahead and get it on. It helps, at least in my opinion, it helps. But again, you can do whatever you would like to do. Today, I am just going to do a simple ball for this next couple weeks because it's just easy to make, and just to show increases, how to change color, and decreases. And there are multiple ways to do decreases, but again, we'll get through all that when that episode comes. So I am going to start in a magic circle. I will drop a link in the corner of my magic circle and chain 2 method. You can do whatever you want. I like to do magic circle. It's what works best for me. So here I'm going to do a magic circle. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to single crochet 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Actually, you know what? Yeah, 6. We'll do 6 because that's what I wrote down on my pattern. So I'm going to do magic circle like so. And I'm going to tighten it up, and here we go. Now, to continue on, because we're not going to slip stitch and then chain 1 and then continue around. With amigurumi, you typically just keep working in the round. So what you will need, let's see here. Oh, my fancy one is being used in another project, so I will just go ahead and use this one that I have. You'll need some stitch markers. Now, stitch markers come in a vast array here. Some come in plastic, some are lobster clasps. I like the lobster clasps. Personally, others, you can get ones like this. And I've never really liked these ones because one, even though they're cheap, they are thin and they break easily. And I can't tell you how many times I've broken them. But if you are like in a pinch and just need to throw some stitch markers in your bag as a backup, these are really good for backups. But I like the lobster clasp jewelry type stitch markers because they hold up and they stay put. So you will need a stitch marker to keep things in place. I've also seen people use yarn. I've used yarn before to mark your first stitch of the round, as well as hairpins, bobby safety pins, what have you, whatever you have around the house that can keep your place. I've even used yarn needles before, y'all. Okay, so use what you got in the house. But I also make my own stitch markers as well. So from here, we're going to single crochet. This is going to be the start of the increase round. So you're going to single crochet into that first stitch, and then you're going to do another single crochet in that exact same stitch, and that is the start of your increase round. Now, before we move on to much farther, I am going to go ahead and take my stitch marker and place it on the first stitch that I made right there. So that's telling me that is the start of the row. The other option is just to keep counting, and I'm going to go ahead and continue increasing. So each stitch needs to be increased. So we did 6 in the first row, and now with an increase in each of the 6 stitches, we should have 12 stitches at the end. So you do 2 single crochets in one space. And this is the last increase here. Okay. So that is row 2, was just increase all the way around. You should have 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. From here on, from next, you're going to remove your stitch marker for a split second. For row 3, you're going to do a single crochet in the first stitch and then an increase in the next stitch. So in that first stitch, single crochet, just one, like normal. Put my marker back in so I don't forget. And in the next stitch, you're going to do an increase, which all it is just 2 single crochet in the same spot. Forgot to say that in the very, very beginning. then you're going to just keep repeating that sequence: single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, all the way around. Each pattern writer is different when it comes to repeats, and they will tell you in their patterns what to look for when it comes to repeats. And increase. And we're just working in the round like so. And there you go. And that is how to do row 3. And make sure, count your stitches. There should be 18 at the end of this row. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then the next row, because we just keep adding one more onto the row, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to increase in the next. So on single crochet, sorry, I gotta put my marker back in. So single crochet 1, single crochet in the next stitch, so that's 2, and then single crochet, no, I'm sorry, so we single crochet in for 2, so 1, 2, and then in the next stitch is going to be an increase. Then we single crochet for 2, and then we increase. Increase. And there you go. It kind of looks like a hexagon. There is a method on how to make it more round, more circular, which I can show in a little bit. The next round, round 5, is going to be single crochet for 3, then increase all the way around. Two, three, increase, and there we go. And from there, row 6, all it is just single crochet all the way around. This is where things start to curve up and creating that ball. And there you go. Now it's starting to form a ball. It's starting to curve. And I'm going to stop here for this video because the next video is going to be talking about how to change colors, how to work it in with your amigurumis, and some tips and tricks on how I like to change colors with my amigurumi projects. If you like these videos, be sure to give it a like and drop a comment of what amigurumis you like to make, whether it's animals or princesses or just anything. Just tell me in the comments what you like to make out of it. Just tell me what you want to what you like to make or you want to make of amigurumis. Also, if you want to support our channel financially, be sure to buy us a coffee. The link is in the description below. And don't forget to hit the subscription button while you're at it. And until next time, happy crafting.